Daniel Jones got paid 4 years, $160 million deal with $35 million added to it with incentives. So he got his contract, averages out to about $40 million a year. The question on everyone's mind is, did the New York Giants overpay for Daniel Jones, and will they regret this? Did they overpay? Probably. Will they regret it? It depends. Here's the thing. Daniel Jones, right? I think that this is one of those situations where the Giants were a bit of damned if they do, damned if they don't, because Daniel Jones is a guy that they won games with last year, and he's a guy who's proven that he is a good quarterback in the NFL, and he's not a world beater, right? I think he's towards the lower end of the Jimmy G class of quarterback. I think he's like right there with Derek Carr as far as where he ranks in the pecking order of quarterbacks and the talent pool, honestly. Which is still a good quarterback, but he will not be the reason you win. And that is okay, because the way the Giants play football, Daniel Jones doesn't need to be the reason they win. They play a hard-nosed running style of football, and they spread it out. That's exactly what a guy like Daniel Jones needs. It gives him more time to make plays. It gets the defense on their knees, because the defense has to deal with Saquon Barkley, who, by the way, they signed to the franchise tag. They have to deal with a guy like Saquon Barkley. So Daniel Jones, the quarterback, is secondary to him. So that gives him a little bit of a buffer as far as what he needs to be able to do. And again, not a world beater, this Daniel Jones guy, but $40 million. I think it's slightly overpaying, but they were going to. They were just going to overpay, because I don't think they wanted to lose what they had. You can bring in a guy like Jimmy G, and he'll probably produce the same thing. But I think the chemistry and I think like a little bit of the trust, like they have developed a lot of trust with Daniel Jones, especially this past year. Like he started 16 games this past year. He did not turn the football over, and he played. He played very good. It was only 15 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, but on the ground, what he was able to do was add an extra layer to this offense, because he's always been a very good runner. But this year, they really went all in on being like, all right, we know that he's a good runner. Let's use his legs. I think Brian Daboll was able to use Daniel Jones perfectly. He had over 700 yards rushing, averaged 6 yards per carry, and had 7 touchdowns on the ground in addition to his 15. So, that's good. That's very good. So it adds another layer to your offense, I think, and it's another reason to keep a guy like Daniel Jones. Is he going to put up the best stats in the world? No, he's never going to be the MVP. He's never going to be, the Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. No, never. But he can be a guy who can hoist up a Lombardi. And not a lot of quarterbacks can say that. I think he's a guy who's never going to be the reason you lose anymore, at least. I don't think he's going to be the reason you lose, but he certainly won't be the exclusive reason you win. And I think the Giants kind of made their bed with that. 4 years, $160 million is just the market nowadays. I wish the Baltimore Ravens understood that. Otherwise, Lamar Jackson would already be re-signed, and I wouldn't be pulling my hair out about that whole situation. But nevertheless, I digress. And yeah, I think he can be a long-term answer. Is he the long-term answer? Quite frankly, I don't know. And that's just part of this whole NFL experience, to be honest with you. It's part of the NFL experience, finding stuff out. We can talk about it. I can talk about how Daniel Jones was able to have a season where he didn't turn the ball over like a maniac and wasn't, running around outside the pocket and making these terrible plays, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, none of it matters until they buckle up their chin straps and play. And if I had to bet on it, I think Daniel Jones will be fine again. But I don't think that the Giants are at the top of the list of this team's going to be winning a Super Bowl, right? I think he would need to take a massive step forward, which he still can, because that's the thing about people we forget, right? We forget that these quarterbacks are also like young kids. Like Daniel Jones is not like an old guy, right? Like the dude's like 25 years old. He's 25 years old. So and I think he's just really picking up the game as far as like getting into his prime. And it's very easy for us to give up on quarterbacks like Josh Rosen, like Zach Wilson, right? It's very easy to give up on quarterbacks early. But one thing I think teams need to realize is sometimes these guys just need more time to really come into their own and learn the NFL game, because it is different from college. It's not, we're gonna spread it out and we're gonna have like people holding up like damn animation graphics and stuff like that, and that's gonna be the play call. And we're gonna look to the sideline every other play. No, it is. You got 25 seconds to call this play, get everyone set, read the defense. On top of that, spike the ball, make sure it's spiked on time. Read the entire defense again while also looking for who's open and making sure you don't get sacked. That's a lot. And I just covered like the surface of it. There's a lot more to playing quarterback in the NFL than I just outlined. But it's a difficult job, and to expect people in year one or even year two or even honestly year three to be up to speed about all of that, I think is preposterous. Not everyone's going to be Justin Herbert. Not everyone's going to be Patrick Mahomes. Actually, no, not even Patrick Mahomes, because Patrick Mahomes, he didn't play his first year in the NFL. But not everyone's going to be those guys. Like, sometimes you just need a year. Maybe you need 2 years. And I think GMs, it's this weird game of like, they want to be successful immediately because the owners are just more impatient than they have ever been, and fan bases are more impatient than they've ever been. They just want winning football. They don't care. They do not care about the long-term development of the team, which is literally the GM's job, right? Their only concern is, how do I keep my job? And then it shouldn't be that. The GM should be like, all right, long term, how do we build this team into what it should be? How do we build this team to be a winner? That's not what the game is right now. The game is, how do we appease the fans? How do we appease the owners? And how do I keep my job? How do I it's unfortunate, but that's the game. That's just what being a GM in the NFL is now. And it's tragic because you have a few teams that do kind of put the emphasis on building an actual team. Like the Baltimore Ravens do that. I think the Bills do a good job of that. The Eagles have done a fantastic job. I think like it's crazy. Like Howie Roseman is just one of the best in the business like ever. So it's tough. Not all teams can do it, but it's the game. That being said, I think Daniel Jones will generally be fine.